Let's go to Liberal MHA Paul Lane. He's on line 4. Hello. Hello, Paul Lane.
Hey, Pete. How you doing this afternoon?
Good. And I should say you are the MHA, of course, from Mount Pearl South. How you doing?
That would be correct. Good. I'm doing great, Pete. Pete, I could comment. We could have quite the discussion, I guess, on this whole concept of the P3s and so on, and perhaps I'll save that for another call because.
How does the Liberal Party view it, Paul?
I like you have. We've been quite clear that that when it comes to the offering of services, for health care, long-term care, and so on, that we believe that should remain within the public realm, not in private hands.
Interesting note, too, that Danny Williams felt the same way, and yesterday Mr. Kent suggested that he disagreed with Mr. Williams when he said essentially that premiers, in the situation that Paul Davis finds himself, essentially an unelected premier, at the end of a mandate, Mr. Williams said that Roger Grimes, in similar circumstances, should do nothing of any significance on behalf of the people because he doesn't have the mandate and hold an election before you do anything important at all. And Mr. Kent said he doesn't believe that. He thinks that's wrong.
Well, I believe that, obviously the regular business, if there's such a thing, the regular business, the routine business of government, has to occur between elections and so on. But, we're talking about a fundamental change in how we offer health care in this province. It is a huge issue, and, to try to say that, we're going to try to rush this through, ram it down everybody's throats, and have it done by, I think the aggressive timeline was somewhere around the middle or end of October, given the fact that there's an election on the 30th of November anyway, for the sake of another month. I've said, if this is your plan, then put it in the Blue Book and let the people decide when the election comes whether or not they support that plan, or if they, support what the other parties have to say. And that's how I feel about it. And we could get into this, quite the discussion on it, and I have no problem calling in again to do that, maybe next week. But I did have another topic that I did want to call in about
today. Go right ahead.
Yeah. So, Pete, I just wanted to, I guess I can't say I'm shocked over this story that came out around Newfoundland Hydro and the $30 million that was identified in the Liberty report as related to what they deemed imprudent decisions on behalf of Nalcor. I can't say I was shocked by it, I suppose, but we have at least now, they've put a dollar figure on that, and certainly I've raised in the past, and my colleagues have, we've raised it in the House Assembly, certainly the concerns we had over around Newfoundland Labrador Hydro, around Dark NL, about what happened there, about the report, about the fact that there were, that most of this was tied to the fact that preventive maintenance was not done. And I don't think we ever did get, to my mind, a satisfactory answer, whether it be through Hydro and Nalcor, or whether it be through ministers and the Premier and the House Assembly, as to exactly, we know what happened, we know what wasn't done, but the question of why wasn't it done? And, I still... Well,
I'd like to know if there's any penalty for the individuals who are at the helm here on this. We're paying people big money to get it right and to have the right answer and to take the right steps. And when they don't, when it's $30 million, and I don't care what percentage that is, they say, we do so much money. It's still $30 million.
It's a huge number.
Sure it is.
Either way you shake it, we can all play that silly game of saying, well, in comparison to, we can compare it to Hydro's budget, we can compare it to Nalcor's budget overall, we can compare it to the provincial budget. But at the end of the day, $30 million is a huge sum of money. And Pete, it's important to point out here as well that when we talk about this $30 million that's been identified here, that doesn't even touch on the issues around the monies and the costs to the consumer. And, I mean, of course, we keep hearing that every time we ask questions or any time there's any kind of a good announcement, we hear about, well, we are Hydro, we are Nalcor, it's our company, we're the only shareholder, which is true. But it's interesting that when things like this happen, that the government tries to distance itself from it, even though, like I said, they're all there to toot the horn when there's anything positive announced. But when we talk about these costs, that doesn't even touch on the cost to the consumers, and not just in the rates that would be reflected by these types of decisions, but when we had Dark NL as an example, when you look at all of the situations where people had freezers, freezers loads of food and groceries that, were destroyed as a result of the power going out. When we look at the flooding where pipes busted in people's homes, we look at the issues that happened in businesses, in nursing homes, and so on. I mean, there were huge costs
absolutely
to individuals and to companies well beyond what it cost Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro.
And damages that no insurance policy will cover. Yeah.
Stuff that, and not to mention, the stress that was caused on our seniors, on single mothers, for example, and families. And I mean, we even, had a fatality that occurred during that whole situation. So, I mean, there were numerous costs way and above beyond this $30 million, and I think we ought not to forget that. But another thing, though, another point I do want to make, Pete,
very quickly, if you could, Paul.
I will. But, again, it ties back to these are, the lack of maintenance and so on that took place here. These were management decisions, and they were government decisions. And, again, I believe it was a case of rolling the dice to say, you know what, we're doing Muxteret Falls, and we'll have that online by 2017 or whatever. So let's not spend a whole lot of money on maintenance. I still think that that's what happened, but, I mean, I have no proof of it, and nobody ever gave us a satisfactory answer. No. But I do want to say that, this is no way associated to the hard-working men and women that work at Newfoundland Labrador Hydro. I mean, we've got...
No, they're all doing their jobs.
There are people out there that are doing their job. They're working hard, and I'm sure that morale must be at an all-time low, whether it be at Hydro or whether it be at Nalcor in general. And, I just want to say to those people that, this is not their issue. These are top management issues, and more than likely directed right to the government itself and the Premier's office and so on.
And that's where the accountability... The accountability has to be expected. It goes right to the helm. Those are the folks making the decisions. And if we're not getting our money's worth, if we're paying through the nose for the electricity we get through Nalcor and Hydro, and they're blowing $30 million of it, then we should, at the very least, have to shell out again to cover up for their errors and incompetence by purchasing generators and all of those extra costs that you just mentioned. I thank you for your time today, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Pete. Always a pleasure, and I'll call back perhaps next week to talk about those P3s.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, Pete.
Okay.
Have a good day.